now.
What do you like most about heavy metal? What is it? Because I hear heavy metal, right, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just noise. It's just loads of noise condensed, but it's more than that for you. So what is it about heavy metal that you like the most?
I think it's I think heavy metal is such an intricate way of music. It's without sounding like I'm up my own arse or anything.
Go on, bro. Come on, man.
It's
That's what it's
like-
about, bro. Come on.
Nah, heavy metal it can be just noise. It can be just noise. But in the same way, I think now, like, I'm going a little bit off topic, but same as way pop music is nowadays. When I listen to the radio, like Capital, for example, I think that's just noise. It's the same thing over and over. Whereas you listen to, if I give you 5 heavy metal albums to listen to and I'll choose a different subgenre of each, if you've actually listened to the whole thing, you'll be able to hear the difference. And it's each instrumentalist, they are so skilled. If you actually read their music compared to any other genre apart from maybe bluegrass, you know, which is like a genre of like kind of country, like fast country music, it's insane. Like you won't be, you can't just learn that. You actually have to be such a good musician.
Is it layered? What makes it? Is it because it's so layered? Is that what makes
So
it so
layered? It's so fast. It's heavy. The quality of the music, like the quality of the
sound
audio,
itself?
like it's not just an amp and someone singing. Like you, to be able to make it sound like that is one thing, and then be able to play it is another. You know, like there's so much that goes onto it. Yeah, layers. It's insane, and I think it's also, it gets me going. You know, it gets me so excited. Like whether I'm drunk, sober, or high, or having a bad day, having a good day, it's something that can just bring me out of it. Something that can just excite me and just sit, even if the worst thing has happened to me, I can just be sitting there with my headphones in on the bus, just
like popping your head to read.
yeah. Whereas if I'm listening to, like, no hate to them or anything, but like Ariana Grande or something, like I just can't really be at the back of the bus.
Not
like
the same vibe. Yeah, it's not at all, innit?
like smoking my cigarette. Like I hate the
on the
world,
bus
like,
too.
yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, like fuck you all, you know, like fuck that teacher for saying that to me, like fuck you, and then like, and maybe like I can't really do that. It's not the same vibe. You need something to let it out, and I think anyone can. It's not just like, you can't just be a kid that has long hair and wears rings and stuff. Like that's not what heavy metal is. If you like it, you like it. And I think it's
for anyone.
I think people who go through dark times and people who have a lot of stuff going on, that's why they like it a lot more. They like it a lot more because it elevates your heart. And normally people with stress, their heart rate is going very quick because they have anxiety. And I think that's why heavy metal is also good, because it gives you an outlet through that expression of music. Which, going back to the first question, you know, it's a outlet of expression. You know, it's whereas you can't really do that with pop. It's not. I think pop music and that kind of thing. I sound like I'm hating on pop, which I kind of am.
I mean,
but
it's pop
I
music.
kind of
There's some good pop music.
There's some good pop music. I like 2000s.
Pop, yes, I was gonna say.
You know, like Britney Spears, like Toxic. Like that type of stuff.
Banger.
That's good pop music. That's good pop music. Like Mumford & Sons, love Mumford & Sons.
Yeah, but then nowadays it's a bit more like.
Yeah, it's generic.
Yeah, it's generic. They just do it for the plays in the radio and just for the people to listen to.
Exactly. And I feel like you can't really hate on that, because if either one of us were given that opportunity to be like,
of course, yeah.
Hey, we'll give you 2 million if you can make this album in 10 days.
But then what about your, like, you know, your artistic integrity? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
That comes into play also.
It does come into play. It does come into play.
I got a question. And I'll go off that. That's good. That's a very good introduction. I know that's a stupid question to begin with. Explain music to me like I'm a 5-year-old. But you did very well. That was very good. I fuck with that. Okay, so okay. Thinking to music and thinking of the broad terms of the genres of music and stuff like that, what would you say is the best representation music has to offer from your perspective? What I mean by that question is, like, obviously music, like you said, is layered. It's got many different ways to go about it. But in your perspective, maybe I'm asking the question, what's your favorite genre? But like, what different types of music are out there, and what do you think represents, like you said, the best expression of music, layering the paint, like you described it? What's the best version of that?
Okay, I think nowadays I would say the best version of that I've seen recently, it would have to be like the rap through the 90s and early 2000s, like that old hip hop, the original hip hop. Biggie, Nas. I was never a fan of Biggie or Tupac. I'm gonna get crucified for that, but like,
nah, that's fine.
You know, but like,
You mean still, or you mean like back in the day? You mean?
even still, I wasn't alive back in the day, mate. I wasn't alive, mate. Like, I don't know.
Back in the day when we were all chilling in the streets of Queens with Nas, having the fun of Nas. Yeah. You mean, no.
But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, no, I think it was such an accurate representation of who they were, and they got such hate for it, but they never stopped. Like, my favorite rapper, I think, was Big L and Nas, both of them. Like, they were both, I think, the best, and they actually were true to what they were saying. And I think that a lot of people could relate to them because they were never faking it. They were never doing it for clout, as you would say, or anything. Like,
just being real.
It was just them being themselves.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe when they grew up, they weren't thinking they're being real. It was just them being themselves.
Yeah.
And then they grew up and like, oh, rap is a thing.
Yeah.
Same as like, what's his name, 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Like, they grew up like thinking just, oh, this is just what I am. This is like life.
Yeah.
And like, that's just what they do. And so I think another way to explain that is someone called Marilyn Manson, whose book is right there.
Show the book.
Yeah.
Show man in the book.
Long Hard Road Out of Hell is written in 1998. Autobiography is, you should read it. Very, very good.
Talk to me about that book for a bit. Like, first, when made you get the book, and second, what is the book about?
My brother got himself that book and then left it at home when he left, because he left home at 18 years old, and he's now 25, turning 26 this year in August, and he got that book, and I just found it, and my mum was gonna throw it out, and I was like, no, I'll read that one day, and now I'm reading it. And it was written in 1998 when he was 29 years old. And when you think of Marilyn Manson, what do you think?
Like, I mean, I can see the image there, just
crazy,
like,
right?
Crazy goth, like heavy metal, incarnate,
yeah, exactly. And then you read that, and it starts off with an introduction to his childhood.
Ooh.
Right, and it literally goes on from when he's a baby to when he's 29 years old. It's like in chronological order, yeah. And the stories he explains in the start is like, without going too deep, so you can, if you read it for yourself, one day, it's like at the start he explains how him and his cousin, because his mum and dad didn't really take care of him too much. He was always stuck at his grandparents' house, and his granddad had like really bad throat cancer, and he couldn't speak anymore. He just made noises and had the hole in his throat.
Ooh.
And he'd just go all the time, and that was it. And he'd walk really slow and stuff. And like, they had a basement. And him and his cousin were like beaten if they didn't finish their food or if they spoke when they weren't allowed to. Like, they had a really strict thing.
Yeah.
Even though their parents weren't like that, they just didn't really care. And then one time, they had the basement, as I said. They had this basement, which was his granddad's.
Yeah.
And it's where he stashed all of his like movies and like porn and porn magazines and stuff like that. And like, they'd find all that stuff down there, and they go sneak down there during dinner when no one was here. When someone got up to the bottom, they sneaked down there for 5 minutes. And one time they got stuck down there because they went down and they were down there looking at stuff, and the door slams from up above, and they hear the granddad come down the steps. So they hide under the steps, because it's one of those American basements. So it's like all nice and big, and you can go under the stairs. Yeah, literally. You can hide under the stairs. They hid under the stairs, and it's one of the stair sets where you can see through the slats. So you can see his steps coming down, and he stops at the bottom and just goes, sits down in the chair, and he explains it way more vividly than I'm about to, but apparently he lets his belt buckle down, sits down, gets naked in the chair, starts rocking his shit, like going crazy on himself.
His granddad.
Yeah, and he said he then heard a loud, massive moan, and he just let it out, and then he chucked a tissue onto the floor that was covered in, like he said, like a yellow grease, and he didn't know whether it was the mucus from his hole in his throat or whether it was his outlet of, of that area.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And he got stuck down there, and then the granddad they went upstairs, and him and his cousin, they were like 12 years old, I think, and him and his cousin like swore to never ever go down there ever again. And then he explains later on that they went down there again or something, and they found a dildo in there, and Marilyn Manson took it out of that basement and took it to school and like stuck it in his teacher's desk and stuff, and like, it's just stuff like that. And you just hear how he had such a weird childhood. And there's even more. That was the first, I've read that in the first 7-8 pages.
That's crazy.
7-8 pages. And that's not the worst thing in there.
And like, his life obviously develops. Like, it shows like him developing into a musician.
Way.
I've heard the name of Marilyn Manson. What is he now? Who is he to like everyone else? He's obviously like a famous artist, right?
Yeah, I would say Marilyn Manson to everyone else is just this crazy musician who he's supposedly done a lot of bad stuff, had a lot of bad allegations, which he does.
Yeah.
But I still think he's out right now. He's not imprisoned. He hasn't. None of that's been proven. He hasn't done anything too bad. He's still got his friends who he had. Like Johnny Depp is one of his best friends. He's had bad allegations from Amber Heard. I'm not defending him in any way, but it's just like he was
acquitted, no?
But it's same as Marilyn Manson. It's like I'm not defending any of. I wasn't there. I have no idea.
Saying, well,
but like I love them as a musician and an actor, both of them, and I think they are very similar. And I think that's why they're friends as well. And I don't think they'd be friends with each other if they didn't feel like they could rely on each other in that way.
Decent people. I got a question. On that. First off, thank you for introducing Marilyn Manson to the podcast. I think that's really cool. I think the fact that if you guys can't see it, you probably see the cover when he showed it. It's insane just to see that perspective. And you see that and you just think like, holy shit, like he went through so much as a kid. But anyway, the question I had was that obviously, I don't know if he's one of your inspirations for when you started making music, and you mentioned about how rap was what you think is the best representation of music. What is your inspiration when you started making music yourself and you started really getting into it and taking it seriously? Who inspired you to actually create, and who still inspires you to this day?
Okay, that's good. I love that. Yeah.